to craft such a film. I'm convinced the director must be brilliantly insane. Who would let a woman conceive with her future self after gender transition, then eliminate her past self? One becomes their own progenitor lover, and ultimately their own offspring. This is Predestination, a masterpiece of temporal paradox in cinematic history. The story opens with a mysterious man carrying a suitcase in his left hand and a black violin case in his right, rushing into a New York office basement. He lifts a black cloth to reveal a timed explosive device. With a forceful pull, the suitcase transforms rapidly into a blast containment unit. As he disarms the bomb, a black-clad figure materializes behind him. He draws and fires, then turns mere 6 seconds before detonation. He strides forward, seizing the bomb, into the unit. But before securing the lid, the blast wave hurls him meters away. Mangled, he strains toward the violin case. When the dark figure reappears, this time offering the case, instead of attacking. Alone, he adjusts the dials on the case, slams it shut, and awakens elsewhere, seeing the warnings overhead. The battered man knows he's secure. 2 suited men present a cruciform medal, the highest honor for his bomb disposal valor. Examined closely, an hourglass, or rather a Mobius strip, symbolizing time's flow and cyclical destiny. This is the government-run Temporal Bureau, and the mysterious man cross is an agent of the Temporal Bureau. In the film, humanity invented the portable temporal field device in 1981, allowing travel within a 53-year window. Its primary purpose is preventing catastrophic events throughout history. Among numerous cases, the most elusive target is a psychopath known as the Fizzle Bomber. He consistently evades temporal agents dispatched by the Bureau and executes devastating terrorist attacks. His deadliest strike leveled 10 blocks in New York City, claiming 11,000 lives. Though Cross thwarted the bomber this time, he sustained permanent injuries. After reconstructive surgery, he regained human appearance, but with entirely altered features. Repeated temporal jumps caused irreversible brain damage, blurring many memories. Though the bomber's face faded from memory, the burning need to avenge this injustice remained. Eventually, Cross emerged years later with a normal appearance and prepared for his final temporal assignment today, after which he could retire permanently. Just as he anticipated capturing the bomber, the Bureau assigned a different mission. Before departure, the administration followed standard protocol. We solemnly swear to uphold the rule, regulations set forth by TVR Code 7286. I do. You accept that any diversion from your mission parameters will result in court-martial, and if convicted, death by lethal injection. After the oath, Cross used the time machine to travel to 1970. He then disguised himself and took up a bartender job at a small bar in New York City. But on this day, John, the target he'd been waiting for, appeared. That's when the story truly came alive. To complete his mission, Cross deliberately approached and started a conversation. During the conversation, he learned that John was actually a writer for women's literary and emotional. Cross was surprised, as he had read John's published articles. How could a man understand women better than women themselves? He almost spoke, but held back, having kept this secret for years. He never told anyone, as no one would believe such an outrageous story. And this was exactly what Cross wanted to hear. To coax John into telling his story, Cross provocatively said, "If your story shocks me, I'll give you a free bottle of wine." But when John began speaking, it completely blew Cross's mind. "When I was a little girl, have you heard of Christine Jorgensen?" Christine Jorgensen was the first transgender person in American history. But John's own story was even more shocking. It all began in the fall of 1945. As a baby girl, John was abandoned by a mysterious man, left at an orphanage's entrance. Initially, the orphanage director suspected the baby had an illness, but medical tests showed the child was not only perfectly healthy, but also never got sick in the following decade. She never needed hospital visits. As she grew, extraordinary traits began to show. She possessed innate strength far surpassing her peers, even stronger than boys older than her. And she had exceptional intelligence, particularly in math and physics. Over time, she became isolated and shunned by other children, watching friends around her get adopted one after another. She grew increasingly withdrawn and insecure. She often wondered if her unusual physiology was the cause. She even avoided looking in mirrors altogether. Gradually, she forgot her own appearance. But at age 18, her life underwent a dramatic transformation. A man claiming to be from the National Space Agency, Robertson, approached her, saying they were recruiting highly gifted youths in math and physics for the space program. John, then still living as female, let's call her Jane for now, perfectly matched the criteria and seized this rare opportunity. She reported to the space agency that same day. Unlike unqualified candidates, Jane aced her interview, handling both aerospace expertise and challenging questions with ease. She quickly passed the initial screening. During advanced astronaut training, she demonstrated exceptional endurance and remarkable physical prowess. She aced the intelligence test. This sparked jealousy among other trainees, leading to physical confrontations. During one fight, Jane lost control and nearly killed her opponent. Yet Robertson didn't reprimand her, but the medical report shocked him. Jane was intersex, disqualifying her from the astronaut program. Robertson deliberately concealed this truth, promising to recall her when the time was right. Believe me, it's not over yet. I'm going to appeal your dismissal. I'll do everything to reinstate you. I promise. Trust me, Jane. Convinced her disqualification resulted from the fight, Jane made a heartbroken departure from the space program. Alone with no family or friends, she took a temporary nanny job to survive. In her spare time, Jane discovered romance novels, developing an instant obsession to transform her disheveled appearance. She enrolled in evening etiquette classes, hoping to prepare for future career and romantic opportunities. Fate intervened unexpectedly when Jane, freshly unemployed, encountered the man who'd change her life. "Oh, I'm so sorry. There he was. Are you lost?" He claimed to be waiting for someone. "Well, you know what they say, good things come to those who wait." I countered, "Only what's left by those who hustle." He gasped, an Abraham Lincoln quote. I've been thinking the exact same line. That night, Jane fell helplessly for this enigmatic man. Their passionate affair lasted merely 2 months. One day, he excused himself briefly, vanishing forever. As one door closed, another opened. Her writing career blossomed. That day, Robertson approached Jane again, saying, "In truth, we're not recruiting astronauts, but seeking temporal agents to traverse past and future." After months of screening, Robertson found Jane alone with no family and no social ties. Time travel wouldn't alter history or trigger paradoxes, perfectly aligning with Temporal Bureau's minimal disturbance principle. You're our ideal candidate. Just as she glimpsed life's pinnacle, she discovered she was pregnant. Jane chose motherhood over career. She resolved to bear the child. The delivery succeeded. Jane bore a daughter. Then the doctor gravely revealed, "You had 2 full sets of organs, Jane, female, both immature." The female said, "Well enough developed for you to have a baby." "I'm afraid, my dear, the excessive bleeding from the birth forced us to perform a hysterectomy. We had to remove your ovaries and uterus. The reconstruction allowed us to create a male urinary tract to become a man." Hearing she transitioned to male, Jane was in disbelief. Surgery was her only chance to survive. Besides, she now had a daughter to protect. She consented to the operation. But that very night, a stranger stole her newborn. From that day, Jane exhausted every resource searching, but the child vanished, just like that good-for-nothing man who abandoned her. Overwhelmed by grief, Jane underwent 3 gender confirmation surgeries at the hospital, enduring countless testosterone injections during the process, all to fully transition into living as a man. One day, he practiced lowering his voice. "Hey, hi, nice to meet you. Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. It's a lovely day. Never could get a ride, though. Hi, my name is Jane. My name is Jane. Hi, it's nice to meet you. My name is Jane." After enduring the year-long physical recovery, Jane finally completed her transition to living as a man and gradually embraced her new identity. Seeking a fresh start, she reapplied to the space program. But the staff there showed more interest in her physical transformation than her qualifications, and she wasn't accepted. Nevertheless, after enduring such hardship, life had to go on. Finding a new purpose was the only way to salvage her desolate existence. So, renaming herself John, she moved to New York for a new beginning. She worked as a fast food cook and later as a typist. By chance, she mailed a story she'd written to a magazine. Unexpectedly, it earned her a substantial payment. So John quit her job, studied popular weekly magazines, and channeled her own extraordinary experiences into becoming a renowned relationship columnist. John's incredible personal story profoundly shocked Crow. By the terms of their bet, she'd won the bottle of whiskey. So, do I win a bottle? Crow thought that was the end of the story. But the truly mind-blowing plot has just begun. John unexpectedly encountered his second major life turning point here. What if I could put him right before you, the man who ruined your Life? And if I could guarantee you'd get away with it, would you come? Naturally, John harbored deep hatred for the man who abandoned him. He couldn't wait to kill him right then. But immediately he thought this must be nonsense. After all, no one easily trusts a stranger they've met only once. That changed when Cross claimed Robertson from the Temporal Bureau sent him and promised to locate that man. But after this, John would take over Cross's job, not as a bartender, but as a temporal agent. Only then did John shift from complete disbelief to being half convinced. So he decided to give it a shot and followed Cross to the basement. Upon entering, Cross produced the violin case from the video's opening, placing it on the table before Jane, as he explained. This is a portable space converter, allowing travel within 53 years of 1981. He then set the destination to April 3rd, 1963, the day Jane first met that man. Suddenly, they materialized in a dilapidated warehouse. First-time travelers always experience temporal sickness, dizziness, and nausea. Oh God, what was that? The temporal distortion field? Even then, John didn't believe they'd actually traveled through time. Not until he saw pedestrians outside wearing 1960s attire did he accept this might be real. As John processed this, Cross handed him a pistol and revealed their true mission. The Temporal Bureau suspected the man who abandoned John. It's the Fizzle Bomber. So I kill him, you take me to Robertson, and you show me everything. Agreed? Now I'm going to kill that bastard. So he immediately went to the school where he once took etiquette classes. He scanned his surroundings vigilantly, searching for the bomber, or that bastard who'd hurt him before. But unexpectedly, in a moment of distraction, he collided with his pre-transition self. Thus the gears of fate began turning silently. You know what they say about good. Things coming to those who wait, but only what's left by those who hustle. I was just thinking that. What are the odds? Unbelievably, the man she'd loved and hated, who John now sought to kill, was himself. This seemingly absurd twist was actually an inevitable confluence of factors. Jane couldn't recognize John as herself since she rarely gazed at her own reflection, and post-transition recognition became impossible. John remained unaware the bastard was himself due to memory suppression, blocking that traumatic memory after the abandonment, and decades had blurred any remaining recollection. Now confronting his female self as a man, his subconscious craved to offer his ideal partners love and validation. You're beautiful, marking Jane's first ever compliment. Rarely did she meet someone whose tastes mirrored her own so perfectly. This narcissistic attraction transcends conventional ethics. John, who had restrained himself repeatedly, couldn't help but fall in love with Jane. Observing from the shadows, Cross seemed to have anticipated this all along. As the two continued their surreal romance, haunted by his failure to stop the Fizzle Bomber, he violated protocol and time jumped again. He arrived in New York on March 2nd, 1970. Sharp-eyed viewers will recognize this as the bomb-defusing basement from the film's opening. Arriving hours early, he caught the bomber, setting the timer. When spotted, the bomber instantly burst into a shootout. After a brutal struggle, Cross was ambushed from behind and knocked unconscious. Waking later, he heard another explosion nearby. Approaching, he found a temporal agent disfigured by the blast. Cross handed the time machine case to the dying agent, unaware this was his past self in the opening scene. The black-clad figure who originally delivered the case was also himself, but excessive time jumps caused memory suppression, leaving him with only déjà vu. Crouching, he discovered fragments left by the bomber. Taking the fragments, he jumped back to the 1964 maternity ward, when Jane and John's child was born. He gave Robertson the bomber's fragments, but Robertson wasn't there for evidence. He came because Cross violated Temporal Bureau regulations. Cross dismissed concerns, but severe amnesia was setting in. Robertson wasn't a stickler for rules, admitting Bureau protocols were too rigid. Without these cumbersome regulations, perhaps they'll achieve even greater feats. Before departing, Robertson commanded that Klaus must return Jane's baby to the 1945 orphanage. With that, he left alone. Seizing the moment when the nurse stepped out, Klaus slipped into the delivery room. The truth revealed. He was also the black-clad figure who stole Jane's child. Thus, the perfect closed loop was complete. The infant Jane, stolen by Klaus, traveled back to 1945 and was left at the orphanage doorstep, growing up as Jane. In 1964, 19 years later, she met John, who'd crossed time, her future self after the sex change, and fell in love. She gave birth to the infant Jane, whom Klaus then stole, and returned to the 1945 orphanage. This inner loop completes one cycle. Why call it inner? Because an even grander cycle lies ahead. To fulfill this larger cycle, Klaus journeyed back again, arriving in 1963, a time when John and Jane had been lovers for over 2 months. Stay here. Where you go? No, we're not leaving, Jane. After Jane departed, an enraged John aimed his gun at Klaus, blaming him for the deception, that there was no bomber, no scoundrel, and demanding he not disrupt their peaceful life. I'm sorry if you feel deceived, but it's a mistake to think that we can alter the inevitable. It's as you said, some things are inevitable, but I love her. I know, now that you've found her. You know who she is. You understand who you are, and now perhaps you're ready to understand who I am. Klaus reasserted his temporal agent identity. He stated that if John refused to return to the temporal bureau with him, then Jane would never be abandoned and undergo sex reassignment surgery to become John. Thus, this John before him would cease to exist. Every effect has its cause. At this moment, John grasped this truth. Despite his profound attachment to Jane, he followed Cruz back to the temporal bureau in 1985. The 22-year temporal leap overwhelmed John into unconsciousness, while Cruz completed his final mission as an agent. Henceforth, John would assume his duty. Robertson produced a dossier, explaining it contained new evidence extracted from the Fizzle bomber's debris. Per temporal bureau protocol, Cruz was barred from further investigation and must choose a temporal destination for retirement. His chronoconverter would deactivate after final transit. Yet the bomber remained Cruz's obsession. Thus he traveled to New York, January 7th, 1975, 2 months before the deadliest explosion. As Cruz uncorked champagne to toast his retirement, his chronoconverter's self-destruct sequence malfunctioned. He suspected Robertson's orchestration. Why else provide the dossier containing the bomber's precise itinerary? Robertson knew Cruz wouldn't relent. When the dossier showed the bomber's last sighting at a laundromat, Cruz immediately traveled there, confronting his lifelong nemesis. To his shock, the bomber was his future self. I knew it was you all along. Hey, we always called it that name, remember? You, remember? No, I've saved more lives than I ever could have from inside the bureau. No, you kill innocent people for the killing. The bomber didn't admit it because he had his own twisted logic. Take that Chicago factory leak, over 300 poisoned by chemicals. So I traveled back before the leak and blew it up. 324 lives saved. Look, what about the 68 Hardshaw weapons factory height? No, the bomber never made it inside. So I took him out. 3,027 lives I saved. Klaus could never understand why his future self became so delirious. But the bomber had an explanation. They'd spent their life doing the Bureau's work, from stopping bombs to recruiting themselves, even stealing the baby, all part of the small cycle. Now, only together could they break the grand cycle. But Klaus thought the bomber had lost his mind. To stop the big explosion in 2 months, he pulled the trigger, unaware. This seemingly ended the bomber, yet completed the grand cycle's final step. Because from that day, Klaus's mind began to unravel. Combined with brain damage from time jumps, he was nearing complete collapse. Slowly he realized, no matter how hard he fought fate, he couldn't escape the predetermined path. In the end, the resigned Klaus became the new bomber. This marks the completion of the Grand Temporal Loop. A new cycle commences the moment John awakens. And upon becoming an agent, he received his time machine from Robertson. Years later, he would enter the basement shown at the film's opening. Following the explosion, John suffered severe memory loss and underwent reconstructive surgery to become Klaus. Later, as Klaus on a recruitment mission, he located John and took him back in time to locate his younger female self, ultimately conceiving himself, then delivering the infant to the orphanage. As an adult, he encounters his post-transition self, closing this infinite Mobius strip-like paradox.